Ladies and gentlemen, what was William Ruto's main objective, the real reason why he appointed 50 chief administrative secretaries in the Republic of Kenya? What was his objective? Because I'm looking at all these things and something tells me that William Ruto was up to something. Because these gentlemen and ladies were actually sworn in at night, 5 a.m., when Kenyans were still asleep. Which begs the question, what was William Ruto's objective? Because there's a chance that William Ruto was under a lot of pressure from politicians, and he wanted to deal with that pressure, knowing so well that the appointments were going nowhere, just like I explained yesterday. If you missed my yesterday's video, please watch it. And I'm asking myself very tough questions. One of the questions I'm asking myself, what political value was the appointment of Sosion going to add to William Ruto? That in his own wisdom, William Ruto identified from Rift Valley Sosion as one individual to appoint as a chief administrative secretary of all the people. I'm convinced that because Sosion really opposed Ruto, gave Ruto a hard time, William Ruto wanted a way of bringing him to his side and then dumping him. I'm sure out of the 23 list, if you were to give Ruto that chance to pick from the 50, Sosion will not make it to that list. So William Ruto has already achieved his objective. I listened to Sosion today on Citizen TV, and I was like, really, is this guy understanding the kind of politics William Ruto played on him? Let me just give another example. Isaac Mwaura. Ladies and gentlemen, Isaac Mwaura was a very close associate of Uhuru Kenyatta. Uhuru Kenyatta personally attended his own wedding. I think funded it. He betrayed Uhuru Kenyatta. Then you expect Ruto to just be at peace by appointing Mwaura, a person who Raila Odinga nominated as an MP. Then Uhuru Kenyatta nominated him as a senator. He betrayed those people. Then he believes that Ruto really wanted to appoint him as a chief administrative secretary. If Ruto wanted to appoint Mwaura, the best would have been to appoint him, to nominate him again to parliament or to senate. I'm looking at it and I'm seeing games were being played. Let me go to Nyanza, for example. There's one question which I never got answer to. Why would Ruto appoint Evans Kidero, former Kisumu Senator Fred Outa, and Nicholas Gumbo, people who actually never supported him? Well, it's a known fact that William Ruto rewards people who support him first. And you want to tell me that out of all this appointment, William Ruto did not see the need to appoint Okothobado? In Nyanza, if you ask me, the person William Ruto would have appointed easily is none other than Okothobado. Then he goes for Kidero, he goes for Outa, and he goes for Gumbo. People who never added any value. If you ask me, real politics, William Ruto just wanted those guys to his side. They are now tamed. Can I go further? Let me ask you, do you think William Ruto would have picked Mangi in Kisii? Or even Ketu Aruguru? Or even Omanga for position of CAS Interior? Of course, Omanga, I think, might make the list. I'm looking at Kimani Ngunjiri. Maybe he might make the list. I'm not so sure. But let's end it there. The biggest question which I want us to address in this particular video is what next for William Ruto after the High Court declared the offices, the 50 chief administrative secretaries, unconstitutional and illegal. What next for Ruto? And I want to assume that probably, number one, he might have been on a strategy to play the politicians, or two, maybe the courts just made a ruling which actually shocked him. What next for Ruto? What are his options? Before we do that, in case you're watching this channel for the first time, please take a second or two, click that subscribe button so that next time we produce a video like this, YouTube will automatically notify you. And to the subscribers, I want to continue thanking you guys for your continued support, because without that support, this channel cannot be where it is. And for this particular video, guys, I want you guys to just give it thumbs up. Now, without any further ado, let us dive in. And by the way, allow me to also introduce you to Top Mark movers and relocations. In case you need services, moving services, you want to move offices, houses, you want to relocate from any part of the country to any other part of the country, please do not hesitate to contact them on the contact you are seeing on the screens right there. Now, ladies and gentlemen, what next for William Ruto? Because assuming now he wanted these 50 individuals, which I don't think William Ruto really needed the 23, but not 50. The 27, he played politics with them. But now, according to the ruling, he has lost all of them. So what next for him? I'm waiting for your opinion first before I give my thoughts. And by the way, I want to thank Patrick Osoy. Thank you so much. I received your coffee and enjoy. My friend from Kirinyaga, thank you so much. May God bless you abundantly. Now, let us get to serious business. What next for Ruto? Number one, in my view, William Ruto can go and appeal that ruling. And that is what almost all these chief administrative secretaries are praying for. So that even if the court will not grant him his wish of 50, he can have his original 23. And he can only pursue this, if I were him, if he's so sure of the outcome. But I doubt whether the Court of Appeal can grant him the wish of 50 chief administrative secretaries. Because if you listened to the judgment, something is also not very clear, whether the entire 50 are declared unconstitutional, or he can actually go ahead and appoint 23. But he can go to court. But only if he's sure. Because if he goes to court and the court rules again that they are unconstitutional, rest assured that Musalia Mudavadi might be next. And I'm sure right now, Musalia Mudavadi might not be at peace, because Omtata and any other Kenyan might actually go to court over his position. So, he can appeal. Number two, which I think is what he needs to do strategically, is to accept and move on. And I want to assume that he's going to sacrifice the 23 individuals, because initially he wanted 23. And I'm sure those 23 he wanted are the people he really wanted in the CAS, and not the 50. And for me, by accepting and moving on, William Ruto would have that peace, but he can go backwards and the background and try to mend fences with courts. Because at this rate, if this situation were to continue like this, William Ruto and Kenya Kwanza government are going to start fighting the court. And they are going to play into the hands of Raila Odinga and his brigades. For me, that is something which I think they can do. Because remember, William Ruto told Kenyans, and he's been saying, that he won the presidency, which Raila Odinga is not acknowledging. And his reasoning has been that Kenyans went to the elections, IBC declared him the president. After that, Raila Odinga was not satisfied. He went to the courts. The courts made a ruling. And the courts then validated his presidency. Which means for Raila Odinga to accept, which means he has been pushing Raila Odinga to accept the results based on the court ruling. So for him, there is no need for him to start fighting courts again. That will give Azimio that opportunity to challenge him. And remember, William Ruto has been trying to project an image of a president who respects the court. Whether this court ruling favors him or not, because I think it favors him, that's what he wanted, or not, then he must respect it. So that's number 2. Number 3, if you ask me, William Ruto can proceed and make fresh appointments. Basically, he can go back and restart the process and follow the law. In that case, he can go and appoint 23 chief administrative secretary, and the question will then be, who will he drop from the 50? Once he identifies those he can drop, then he can pick the 23. Then, question is which criteria? I was listening to, again, Sosion, and I was really surprised that he was saying that the Public Service Commission advertised for these positions, then they applied. How come only politicians and William Ruto's cronies were shortlisted? That's the question. So the thing is, he can start the process again, but trying to follow the laws. If public participation was not conducted enough, then he can go and initiate it. The other thing next for me, is to now try to create a completely new position to accommodate these 50 individuals, or maybe the 23, because I'm sure the other 27 were played. He can decide to create a new position, hide it somewhere as advisors. So you can have a minister with an advisor, a minister with an advisor. But again, how can they maneuver? Or an advisor to ministry? I don't know how we can maneuver. But the truth of the matter is that someone somewhere will still just go to the courts. So he can try that, but I don't know whether it can work. But lastly, if the objective was political and the ruling favors him, then I think William Ruto can just go ahead and execute his objective after playing the politicians. Let's assume he wanted just to play Sosion. Sosion really messed him up. He doesn't want him to go to Azimio. He needs his image as a trade unionist on his side, but now out, so he can then have him somewhere, appointing to some committee there. Can go to Isaac Mwaura, make him a board member somewhere. Because the question is, between Sosion, by the way, and Nelson Havi, who do you think fits William Ruto's scheme of things? But if Havi was appointed a chair of a board, why would Sosion be appointed to the chief administrative secretary? So he can then proceed and execute those politics which he is actually playing. I don't know what you think. That's my take. Thank you guys, and may you have a good day. Bye-bye.